Another week of spooky season is officially in the books. I got a lot of reading done this week, and I'm going to tell you all about it. First up was Dead Man's Fugue by Neumiller. I started this one at my last video already. It hadn't caught me yet, and honestly, it didn't. I reached page 100, and I wasn't invested in the characters or world yet, so I put it down because I wasn't curious about what was going to happen. After that, Everything is Going to Kill Everybody by Brockway. This one was pretty good, but it would have been better if I read it when it came out. It was originally published in 2010. It is a non-fiction series of essays about things like viruses or genetic experiments that could have had really bad repercussions, but that was 14 years ago. Things went in a different direction, and we've had a lot of really scary world events in the time that make a lot of this seem less scary than it was then. That being said, his sense of humor pairs exceptionally well with existential dread, and it was still fun to read to have a little bit more perspective of how we looked at things then versus how we're looking at things now. After I finished that one, I picked up another book that was actually even older. This came out in 2000, I believe it was, and it's been sitting on my shelf for almost 15 years. I picked it up at a library book sale and forgot I had it. And while I did enjoy this one, it is not a type of literature that I would recommend to everybody. It is a dark fantasy series focused on the Unseelie court and some of the court politics that happen. There is a lot of really dark stuff that happens in there that could be very triggering for some readers. That being said, what was actually really refreshing about this as a dark fantasy is that unlike a lot of other authors, there was a very clear boundary between what is a healthy dynamic, what is not a healthy dynamic and is actually very harmful, and what varies by context. And that was really refreshing to read, whereas a lot of authors will actually end up glorifying really, really harmful behaviors and pass it off as a fun read. I don't enjoy that. I know that there are other readers that do well with that. It wasn't for me, so this was a lot better. I actually really liked it. And finally, I just started Sea Change by James Powlik, and so far I'm really liking it. I'm not even through the first chapter yet, and I'm finding that it's really tapping into my thalassophobia, my fear of deep, dark waters, and I'm finding that it's a really engaging writing style. I think next week I'm going to have really good things to say about this one. I've got my fingers crossed for it anyway. So we now only have another half a week really left of this spooky month, and I am going to keep up with the horror themes until the month is over, and I haven't really decided if I'm going to do a theme for next month or if I'm just going to pick up whatever looks good on my shelf, but I will keep you guys updated on that. If you would prefer to be getting these updates in the written form or have a supplemental written form, I do have that up on my website at writing.hallidaynelson.com. Happy reading!